and then we'll do a roll call attendance. So hold on one second. Okay. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Great Barrington Finance Committee and Select Board for joint hearing will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.townofgb.org. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by following the instructions at the top of the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access meetings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post it on the town's website an audio recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Also, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 7, Section 7C, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So I do want to let folks know, we are recording this via Zoom. That will be made available on CTSB. Is anybody else recording? No? Okay.
And I always record.
Okay, all right, Michelle, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I appreciate you saying it.
And
Okay.
Heather Bello has her hand up, so I assume that means she's recording.
Okay, Heather's recording as well. All right. Okay, so let's start with a roll call for attendance. So for the Finance Committee, I'm the chair of the committee, Ann O'Dwyer, and I'm in attendance. Tom?
I'm here.
Michelle?
Sorry, I keep muting. I'm here. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Will?
Yeah, here.
Okay, and Meredith?
Here.
Okay, so all members of the Finance Committee are here. Steve, do you want to do a roll
Sure.
call? For
Lee?
Here.
Kate?
Hi.
Bill? Here. Ed?
Here.
And I'm present.
Okay, great, thank you. And Steve, do you want to just give a share? It looks like there are 13 people on the panel and 24 people currently in attending
Correct.
the audience. Okay. All right, so I'm going to call this public hearing on the budget to order. We do have a quorum in attendance, and so we will go forward. I do want to let folks know that we will open the public hearing with a summary from the town manager, and then open it up for discussion and further input. And then following the hearing, we will close the hearing. The Select Board and Finance Committee will discuss the budget and vote on the budget at that time. So I do want to say, I will, as chair of the Finance Committee, I would now accept a motion to open the public hearing on the fiscal year 2022 proposed budget. Do I have a motion from a member of the Finance Committee?
I make a motion that we open the public hearing for the proposed budget.
Second.
All right. Anything else? Okay, so roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Hi.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Hi.
And this is Ann, and I vote aye as well. All right, so the public hearing on the fiscal year 2020 proposed budget is now open. I do also want to note that the purpose for holding this meeting is in compliance with the town guidelines or town bylaws, Article 2, Section 7.4, that requires that the Finance Committee hold a hearing on expenditures. Specifically, the bylaws state before any town meeting, the warrant for which calls for the expenditure of money or the disposal of any town property, the Finance Committee shall hold at least one public hearing in which all persons interested may be heard on any article contained in the warrant, and said committee shall make due report thereon at the town meeting. The purpose of this hearing is to hear public input on the fiscal year 2022 proposed budget as proposed by the Finance Committee and the Select Board. The Finance Committee and the Select Board will be listening to public comment attentively, but will wait to discuss and deliberate on the comments and the budget until after the public comment period. Just a little bit of background information. The budgets are prepared using the process and the assumptions contained in the Great Barrington budget and financial policy. The materials that have for this session have been provided on the town, in the agenda on the town website. So attendees can follow along. We can also share, since this is a Zoom meeting, we can also share via shared screen any documents or parts of those materials if folks want to at some point. All right, so at this time, I guess I do want to turn it over to the town manager just for an overview and an update.
Thanks, Anne. There's actually 3 topics we'd like to cover tonight before public input with the chair's permission. First is a very brief staff overview of the proposed changes to the fiscal 22 budget since our March 2nd meeting. The second item we'd like permission to cover is to allow Dr. Bellman from Southern Berkshire Ambulance 3 minutes to address the 2 boards tonight. And the last item would be that we would like to have both of these boards consider a discussion while we have the opportunity tonight at our public hearing to consider a discussion on measures to protect the former Housatonic School through tarping the roof and plywood, installing plywood on both the first and second story windows of that school. So we can touch on that later if you're comfortable with that, but we'll start with a brief overview of the fiscal 22 changes now. And Anne, are you able to share this?
I am. Yeah, 1 second. Yep.
And I'll ask Sue to get us started. We're going to tag team this portion.
Unmute myself.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Is it up?
Not yet.
I thought you said there we go. That's why I was like, wait.
Sorry, no, there we go. I found it. So, okay.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I quickly want to cover the changes that I sent out to all of you. Some of these we did vote on at the last meeting on March 2nd. Some of them have been changes that have occurred between that time frame and tonight. So the first one is an increase to the select board's budget, the contracted services line item of $8,000. What this stems from is, if you'll remember, originally in special articles, we had listed $15,000 to conduct a school feasibility study for consolidating the schools, and our share was originally going to be $15,000. That was found that it has come in a lot lower, and it's going to be $8,000, and it just made more sense to not do it as a special article and to put it in the contracted services line item in the town manager's budget. So that actually resulted in a $7,000 savings for us. The next line is technology. As you recall, that we voted, Amy had said that we could reduce the telephone line to $12,500. That was addressed at the March 2nd meeting. The assessor's office, Mark and I are happy to announce that we do have a new assessor hired. They will be starting on April 5th. This increase will be to the principal assessor salary line item in that budget to reflect the salary of the employee that will be starting next week. And just to kind of take a step back, the budget, if we had continued with the assessor that we had 2 years ago, our longtime assessor, this would be the same rate of pay that he was making at that time.
Sue, can I just?
Sure.
chime in on this one before we move on. I just wanted to also mention that we did advertise this position to $80,000, so it's not that far from the range that we originally had in mind. And I also wanted to just note that during the interview process, once we were on to our second round of interviews, we had 2 remaining finalists, and it became very, very clear to both Sue and I that in order to attract a qualified candidate to this position, we were going to have to increase the salary. That was the case with both candidates. So we thought that this was a fair number, and it was attractive enough to the candidate that we selected to come work for the town of Great Barrington.
Thanks, Mark. The next line is the treasurer collector. You'll recall, again, we addressed this at the March 2nd meeting. The longevity line item was over budgeted $200. The police department, when they first presented their budget, one of the questions that was brought up was that we re-looked at how the line items for both the sergeants and patrol officers were budgeted to account for their step increases. In doing that, both lines need to be adjusted. The sergeant's line is an increase of $858. The patrol officer line is a decrease of $2,509. And I do have to apologize. That should say that it was over budgeted, not under budgeted. Mark, I'm going to actually let you take the next one.
The public works superintendent. So once again, and I know I mentioned this during our earlier sessions, that we were wanting to conduct a salary survey. Normally, I would have waited for the results of that survey. However, we ran into another situation in hiring, and that was earlier this year when we advertised a vacancy for the highway superintendent position after Pete Souls retired after working for the town for a number of years. That salary had remained somewhat stagnant over the years, and in order to, again, attract a qualified candidate and bring someone up through the ranks, we had to offer a more competitive salary. Unfortunately, that more competitive salary put that person in line with the public works superintendent, so I had to make another salary adjustment along the way.
Okay, and then the final change was what was voted on at the March 2nd meeting as well, to increase the Veterans Affairs line item to include the Adam Butts organization, the other VFW, I'm sorry, one's the VFW and one's the Adam Butts, to increase that line by $6,000. So these changes resulted in an overall increase of $16,000, $16,704, excuse me. And then down below, I tried to show you what the old budgets were, what we originally proposed, and what is the revised amounts, thinking that we probably have to re-vote on those this evening.
So Sue, just to clarify, so the change from the original proposed budget back in February is about $16,700.
Correct.
And keep in mind that the select board town manager, that feasibility study is really $7,000 less than even though it's showing here as an $8,000 increase.
Right.
In the budget.
Right. It's an overall decrease of $7,000.
Correct.
And I'm assuming the change then to the tax levy is pretty minimal from what we had before.
I actually included that in the packet as the second page. You should have followed right after this one.
Okay.
Yes, actually we have a reduction to the tax levy of a percent. It was 1.5% was what we initially had proposed when we began this process, and it's now at a 1.4%. And you're going to say, how did that happen? That also, when we tackle the special articles, there's some changes there as well. And that's where that reflected a decrease to the levy. from the original proposed.
Right, so the special articles, I just want to highlight, yeah, it's this has gone down from what was originally in there. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, any other questions about these updates in terms of the overview? All right. So, Mark, I think before we open it up for general discussion and questions from the public, I guess do you want to have Dr. Bellman speak?
Sure, and then we can, of course, with the board's permission, discuss the Housatonic issue as well. So I'll go ahead and promote Dr. Bellman to talk. Okay, you should be all set, Dr. Bellman. You just have to unmute on your end.
All right.
There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. As mentioned, I'm Dr. Alec Bellman. I'm an emergency department physician at Fairview Hospital, also the medical director of Southern Berkshire Ambulance and on their board of directors. I'm making the assumption that everybody on both boards are familiar with the executive summary and EMS recommendations and the 4 articles that have been promoted in that summary. With that assumption, I'm here to thank you for supporting Southern Berkshire Ambulance. As you know, the last decade has been one of tremendous growth and change, but more recently it has been both operationally and financially challenging. And speaking on behalf of the board, I'm here to assure you that there are significant changes in process with the way we structure our board and our day-to-day operations. Our board has voted to support and move forward with all the 4 articles from the town as conditions of this year's financial support. Our only request regarding these is the nomination of a board member representing Great Barrington with financial expertise in order to diversify our resources. We are transitioning to a new model of operational management, and you will be seeing new faces in management and leadership before you with updates as these changes occur. Our hope is that our board, through working with the towns, will ensure that over the next 6 months, we will bring change and stability. Lastly, I wanted to take a moment to express why I believe supporting Southern Berkshire Ambulance is the right decision for Great Barrington and the Southern Berkshires. It's a bit intangible and only something that I think we in the emergency department really see in the care they provide every day. But these are the best group of EMS professionals that I could ever hope to work alongside. And as the one who's tasked with overseeing the medical care they provide, I could not ask for a more passionate, committed, skilled, and intelligent group of EMTs and medics, which is not always the case in a small town EMS service. And I can guarantee will not be the case if we contract out our service to a national or regional conglomerate whose business model is to minimize costs by paying the lowest rates. These rates, which only new graduates who are poorly trained and lack experience will take. Likewise, these for-profit agencies always promise high levels of coverage, always rolling it back to the bare minimum after the initial contract period, allowing no flexibility for on-call backup from a passionate local employee group like we have. Furthermore, the working relationship that Southern Berkshire Ambulance staff members have with GB Fire and Police, our hospital and surrounding towns, the local knowledge and connections that our staff possess would not be replicated by an outside contracted service. Tuning up Southern Berkshire Ambulance to be operationally and financially sustainable is the best option to maintain the quality and level of service that we deserve. Our crew is the driving force behind the changes taking place, and with your support, we will be here into the foreseeable future. And again, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you, Dr. Bellman. I appreciate that. I wonder if it might not make sense to read the 4 recommendations from the town, just so everybody is aware of what they are? So if you don't mind, I'll just quickly, I'm assuming this is the recommendations that the Board of Directors begins with is recognized at a minimum to include, the Board of Directors of SBAS is reorganized to include at a minimum a representative from Great Barrington appointed by the Select Board. 2, a detailed audit is performed on 2019, which identifies the cause or causes of the 21% decrease in revenues and whether or not such dramatic changes are expected to continue. Southern Berkshire Ambulance submits a request to the Southern Berkshire Emergency Medical Services Foundation for assistance in purchasing an ambulance. And 4, a multi-year business plan is presented showing how Southern Berkshire Ambulance plans to maintain a reliable level of 911 service while maximizing revenues from available business. Are these the 4 you were referring to?
They are, yes. And we already have actually sent a letter to the town managers of the towns we serve regarding many of these prior to reading these recommendations. We came to these same conclusions ourselves when looking introspectively at how we were operating. Mark and myself and our president of the board of directors, along with the fire chief, Chief Berger, met just the other day and discussed moving forward. We met with many of these prior to this meeting, and some of these are already getting started.
All right, thank you. All right, so we will, I'm sure, circle back to talk more about this, both if there are questions from the public, but also at the discussion following the public hearing. All right, Mark, did you want to talk about the Housatonic School?
Yeah, I'd like to, looks like Steve got it. I wanted to bring Sean into the conversation. So, most of you are probably aware that we have heard feedback from the public that they'd like to see the former Housatonic School protected in some way, possibly by tarping the roof and or boarding the windows, since they seem to, our staff continues to clean it up weekly, but without any real residential presence around the school. It remains a target for vandals. So we have 2 estimates at this time. One is for $15,000 to tarp the roof. Granted, it's $14,000. I'm sorry. Granted, it's a few years old. And we have estimates in the range of about $10,000 to install plywood on the 1st and 2nd story windows. So we thought this might be a good opportunity for the 2 boards to discuss whether you'd like to include in some way a $25,000 article or part of the Public Works operating budget. Sorry, not a special article. Or if the Finance Committee would consider a reserve fund transfer in fiscal 21 to cover these expenses, if that's granted that you'd like to see these improvements happen.
And the vote for if we did a reserve fund transfer, it's not on the agenda, so we're not proposing to do that this evening.
Right.
We would do it at the next Finance Committee meeting.
Okay. Well, I think what I would suggest is, again, we talk about this when we talk about the budget after the hearing, but people are made aware of this. Sue, can you remind me how much is left in the reserve fund? 50,000, I think you said. 50,000? You're still muted. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, so sorry, I wasn't on the right screen.
Sorry.
Yes, 50,000. We've had 2 transfers out this fiscal year, and the balance is currently $50,200.
Okay. Well, I have a recommendation, but I think I'll make that when we get to the board's discussions. Is that I think that works, correct?
Yeah, that works fine.
Okay.
We just wanted to bring these items to your attention before the public input sessions. So thank you.
Okay, so I think that concludes our sort of opening presentations for the public hearing. So I would like to open up for any comments from those in attendance from the public to the Finance Committee and or Select Board regarding the proposed budget. Any questions? Any concerns? And again, just to remind folks, you can raise your hand if you're by phone, you can unmute, I think it's by *6, is that right? And then raising your hand is *9. And for those who are on Zoom, you can raise your hand using the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen.
Okay. There's 2 hands up.
Okay.
You want me to do this? First one I see is Eric Gabriel. So,
Sure. Sounds good.
you should be.
Hello, Eric Gabriel, 1052 Main Street, Housatonic. Just curious about the Housatonic School and the boarding up of the windows. I know that the town had boarded up a place on Meadow Street in Housatonic. And I guess I'm wondering, does that really need to be hired out, or can Public Works sort out that?
Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Meadow Street property was single story, and it was pretty easy for the staff to do that. In this case, it requires a lull and definitely some safety equipment that my staff isn't really equipped to handle. So it would need to get actually designed and bid by an architect. Otherwise, I definitely would have preferred to do it in-house, but in this case, unfortunately, we can't.
So okay. So you got to go to an architect to have it designed to put up the plywood over the windows. I guess I don't want to be confused with the roof cost, I guess is what I'm asking him about. Yeah.
So because of the number of, I could probably bid out the boarding up myself, but because of I probably do as one project given the scope, and because you'd have someone there with a lull to do both projects. But because of the amount of money that's being expended, we would have to have a formal bid and bid documents to make sure it was an equal bid for any contractor. So it's not so simple as just buying some wood and putting it up.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay, next, Phil Orenstein.
Yes, with respect, a question regarding the salary increases, most recently the Department of Public Works Superintendent today, and then also with the police chief a little while back. And this relates to the process and not the merits of whether or not these raises were appropriate. And this is to the town manager. When you make a determination that you will need to provide these raises to hire these people, are you running it by the select board at that time, or are you offering those raises in anticipation of the board then approving them? So it's really a process question.
So I have not settled the contract with our new police chief just yet. So that aside, the other 2 increases, no, I did not run that by the select board. Those are decisions I made after interviewing candidates and getting a good sense for the quality of the candidates and what we would need to attract them to this position or these positions.
Okay, so you're not offering it to them until you subsequently get the approval.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Karen Smith.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Karen Smith. I live at 5 Monument Valley Road in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. I also serve as the chair of the Park and Rec Commission here at Great Barrington. I'm coming to this combined body of wisdom with the fervent hope, after 2 decades of trying in many, many different ways to get the town of Great Barrington's mothers and fathers to, for one time in their lives, think of our town as a hub. And one of the things that is always problematic is there are no public bathrooms in this town. And the amount of travel that I've done, that I've been blessed to do, I am stunned that we don't have public bathrooms, and we are a hub for cultural events. We want people to come to town. We want them to eat outside, whatever. And the amount of jazz we've gone through over 20 years of, no, we don't want to redo town hall. No, we can't do it. But now I think we have, I think it's referred to, and I may be wrong, community impact or pot money. I would make the pun that pot for potties, or there's no greater impact than having to have to go to the bathroom and have nowhere to go. Not only for us, but for our visitors. And I implore the select board and the finance committee for the first, you're redoing town hall campus. I don't care where the money comes from. It's time that we grow up and get to the big kids table and have public bathrooms as part of our offering to our community, to our visitors, to the tourists. I hear more stuff talked about, well, we got to do this, we got to do that. Can we just get some public bathrooms, for God's sakes? And I think the pot money for the potties, I'm being texted right now by a few people who I'll be glad to make up a bumper sticker. But I would like to see the mothers and fathers of the town, and if you aren't gender specific, whatever works, would you please take some of this impact money, or I don't care where it comes from, but I want the collective wisdom to do this for our community and for our visitors. What? 98 seconds. Done.
Thanks, Karen. I appreciate that. I'm pretty sure we can't use the community impact funds, right? I mean, they have to go to very specific things, but we can also look at if the town's getting more revenue. As we
And when we do deliberations, I think it's an idea we should at least bring up.
Yeah.
There is no other hands raised.
Anybody else? All right. Okay, seeing no other hands, just want to make sure folks have a little bit of time. Okay. So given that all those present had the opportunity to comment on the budget, at this point I will ask from the Finance Committee a motion to close the public hearing.
And this is Tom. I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
All right. Do I have a
Will
second?
second.
All right. Any further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. All right, and so that closes the public hearing. Okay, so this brings us, Steve, to the portion of the 2 boards reviewing and voting on the budget.
So how I've broken this down into 3 categories: the operating budget, the capital, and the special articles. Let's start with the operating budget, and there's 2 ways we can do this. We can go department by department, which in my estimation, we've done more than once, or we can take Sue's sheet that's labeled FY22 budget changes and discuss those and vote on those as a whole. That would be the most concise way of doing it. But if someone wants to go through department by department, then I'll be glad to entertain that. I don't have to work till morning, so whatever we do, that's fine. So is anyone object of using, Sue and Mark's FY '22 budget changes and voting on that sheet?
Are we, so when you say voting on that sheet, voting on the whole sheet or talking about items on that? sheet?
We would talk item by item and then vote on the budget as amended, budget, that the administration presented to us, and those are the amendments to it. And we can change those. I'm not saying it's take it or leave it. What I'm saying is we'll go over each line, and there are 3, 6, 8 lines on there that we can discuss and then vote on it.
And you're talking here just about the operating budget?
Yes, only the operating. Then we'll go capital, and then we'll go special articles. I'm not hearing any objections, if I'm being clear. So let's start on this and see if this works. The first, the FY '22 budget changes. The first one is contracted services. That's the select board town manager. That's actually a reduction of $7,000 and a moving the feasibility study from the special articles into the select board town manager budget. Any discussion on that? Thank you, Ann.
Yeah. So this is this one here?
Yeah, the first one.
So the motion would be to increase the town manager's budget by 8,000 because of moving out of the school feasibility study, which originally was 15,000, reduced to 8,000 into this budget line.
Yes, and we vote on each one of these separate, then our final vote would be on the operating budget as a whole.
As a whole. Okay, so this is what we're voting on
Correct.
right now.
And that's, to be clear, that's a reduction of $7,000.
Yeah, yeah. Do I have a motion or a motion from the finance committee?
I make a motion that we approve the budget as based on Mark and Sue's revised sheet. I just lost my internet connection, you guys. Oh, hold on.
Okay. So this would increase the overall operating budget for the select board town manager from 430,820 to 438,820.
Yeah. I think Tom's motion needs to be a little more specific because I think what he was asking for approval was the whole sheet.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure we're ready to do that yet.
No, Tom, I think we lost him. That's part of the issue. I think Tom lost internet. Tom, are you back?
I'm still on the phone, but I lost my internet connection, so I try and get it reestablished. So maybe someone else could make the motion. I can't see the numbers now.
And this is Michelle.
Yes.
I'll give it a go if it's okay with Tom.
Thank
Yes,
you.
please.
Oh, okay. I would like to make a motion to increase the select board town manager budget by $8,000 for the feasibility study as detailed on the FY '22 budget changes, thus increasing the select board town manager budget from $430,820 to $438,820.
Do I thank you,
Second.
Michelle? Do I have a second? Will has second. Any further discussion? A roll call vote. Michelle? Start with you.
Aye.
Aye. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Do I have a select board motion?
Same motion?
Second, the same motion. So I have a motion by Ed, a second by Bill. Any discussion? Seeing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed?
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous. So the next line is technology. It has to do with the phone system, and the estimate has gone down by $12,500.
Do I have a motion from the finance committee to reduce the technology budget by $12,500
And this is Michelle. I'd like to make a motion to reduce the technology budget by $12,500 as indicated on the FY22 budget changes sheet. This would, the technology budget would reduce from 247,500 to 235,000.
Correct. Do I have a second? Thank you.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. We'll do a roll call vote. Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Ed?
Same motion?
And same second. So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. The next is the proposal for the new principal assessor, an increase, proposed increase of $11,790 for the new hire.
Do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
If it's not too redundant, I'll make the motion to increase the assessor's budget for, by $11,790. This would increase the assessor's office budget from $164,715 to $176,505.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I do.
Yeah, Michelle, you can go first and then me.
Okay. I have a real concern by this increase. And I'm sorry, I think Mark did mention what the advertised salary was. If I'm not mistaken, I think he said 80,000. Is that correct?
We advertise the range from 70 to 80,000, right? And
So
this number reflects 85,000.
So with the 11,790 for this potential candidate, it's 85,000.
11,790. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sue, but I believe that's 85,000 plus a 2% increase after July 1.
That is correct.
So, so ultimately, what will this position be paid?
I'm sorry.
Well, ultimately, what will this position be paid after July 1st?
After July 1st.
Yeah.
Sue, do you have that number?
Not in front of me. I believe off the top of my head, I think it's 86,170.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
off the top of my head.
That's okay. Thank you.
I guess I do want to, I also, oh, I'm sorry, Michelle, you all set?
Yeah. I just wanted clarification on that.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious, I'm just wondering what, and tell me if I'm asking something that you really can't talk about in public, but, so why the increase? Is it because of experience? Is this, again, I haven't seen, announcement about the candidate coming in. What led to feeling that you needed to come in higher, given that we haven't done the sort of salary study at this point?
So both candidates are working for other Berkshire communities. Well, I won't get into names. Our new hire was working for 3 communities: the city of North Adams, the town of Clarksburg, and the town of Lanesboro. In order to make this position attractive enough for him to leave 3 communities behind and come to work for the town of Great Barrington, we had to increase the salary. Again, had Chris Lamar stayed in this position, we'd be at this salary at this point, maybe beyond it slightly anyway. And I will say that the principal assessor that we did hire has 10 years of experience and is very, very well qualified. And just remember, we have a very busy year ahead as we transition to quarterly tax payments and a significant conversion in our software from the Massachusetts CAMA program to Patriot. And we really could not risk bringing someone in without a significant amount of experience in the assessing world to help us navigate that process.
Thank you.
I have another question, and again, Mark, if you can't answer it, I'll understand. as far as degrees, what does this, I mean, sometimes when people have a bachelor's or a master's, that's reflected in salary. Is this the case here?
I believe so, although I can't remember offhand. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Right.
Michelle,
No
you
problem.
recall, Sue?
I don't recall that, but however, Michelle, what he does come with, which is in our municipal world very important, is he is a Massachusetts assessor associate. Like, he's certified as a Massachusetts assessor with the association. There's certification in my field. All of us have that, have that ability to get that. So that actually goes very far above and beyond degrees sometimes in this environment that we're working.
Well, that's a matter of opinion. I do feel a position of this level, at least a bachelor's, if not a master's. And that's my personal opinion. And that's my say in it.
Anne, may I?
Yes, please.
I was not involved with the hiring this round, but I was the last time we needed an assessor, and I believe we had 2 applicants. There are not a lot of qualified people out there looking for this kind of work. If we found a good one, I think we're lucky.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. I'll call for a roll call vote. I'm sorry. So, right. Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Nay.
Mike? Michelle, I'm sorry. There was just some background noise. I'm sorry.
I'm having trouble hearing you too. I'm sorry. I'm just not comfortable with it, with the information I have, so I'll vote no.
No. Okay. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye as well.
Main motion?
Second. So Ed made the same motion, Bill seconded, discussion by select board. Hearing none, the roll call vote. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Next one is a $200 reduction in the longevity for the treasurer collectors department.
Do I have a motion from the finance committee to reduce the treasurer collector budget by $200?
This is Michelle. I make a motion to reduce the treasurer collector's budget by $200. This will bring the budget from $224,747 to $224,547.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote. Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you.
Select board.
Same motion?
Second. So Ed made the same motion, Bill second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And aye. Next one is the patrol officers in the police department budget, which was over budgeted, not under budgeted, by $2,509.
I think, Steve, you skipped the sergeant's line, no?
Yes.
I did. Yes, you're right, I did. Well, we'll do it backwards just because I don't want to waste my breath. Thank you, Ann.
I have to highlight twice, but okay.
Okay, you're younger.
All right, do I have a motion from the finance committee to reduce the police department budget by $2,509?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Michelle, second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Will?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. All right.
Do I have a motion from the select board?
Same motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Lee,
Aye.
Kate. Did I lose
Sorry,
Kate?
aye.
No, there she is. Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Moving backwards, police department, sergeants, which was under budgeted by $858.
I have a motion from the finance committee to increase the police department budget by $858.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Michelle,
Second.
second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Will,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you.
Same motion?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Next, moving to the highway department, the DPW superintendent, a salary increase of $5,265. Mark's already explained the reasoning for it.
Do I have a motion from the select board to increase the highway department budget by $5,265?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Yeah, it's Michelle. I'm just uncomfortable with this. We had talked about, a full out salary analysis of all the salaries. And this is, to me, is sidestepping that process. I understand it. I'm just not comfortable with it.
I guess and this is Ann, I just want to jump in and I guess I want to agree here with what Michelle was saying. I guess I'm wondering whose salary is left to evaluate in this salary evaluation study that we're doing. This is,
The salary survey that we're proposing would take a look at all of the department head positions. And these salary adjustments will certainly help in that process. You know, it will offset the increases that we may need to make in the future. And just circling back to, I know we've moved on from the assessor position at this time, but I did have an opportunity to look at our principal assessor's resume, and he does have a BS in business management from MCLA. So we looked at several applicants, and I couldn't remember each of their qualifications.
Thank you, Mark.
Mhm.
okay. Any further discussion from the finance committee? All right, I will do a roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Michelle,
No?
Will,
Aye.
Meredith,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well.
Same motion?
Yes, same motion. Ed's made the same motion. Do I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I. Unanimous. The next one, I just want a little clarification. Sue, if you could just help me here. This is something that I am in favor of, but just want to be clear. It's titled rent allocation, but that's kind of a misnaming. Am I correct, Sue? They use that money for other things than rent?
Yes, I believe so. It is labeled as rent. I actually went back and looked through my correspondence with Lori Hill, our veterans agent, and she referred to it the same way as well. So I think it's just how the law clarifies it, but yes, it can be utilized how they need, as needed by those organizations to run their organization.
Okay, so It's under the Department of Veterans Affairs. It's an increase of $6,000. I think we all felt that we didn't do enough for our veterans there, especially in this pandemic, and it's been voted on once, and this is the final vote. Well, it's a final vote except for the next vote.
Right. But we actually already voted this.
Right, but
But we haven't voted the revised budget per se.
yes.
Okay.
So we're gonna do this vote, then we're gonna vote on the entire operating budget as amended.
Okay. So do I have a motion to increase the Veterans Affairs budget by $6,000, which I'll just note would increase the Veterans Affairs budget from $149,700 to $155,700.
I second. It's Michelle.
Any other further discussion? All right, so we'll do a vote. Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Same motion?
Do I have a second? So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Now, before we vote on the entire operating budget, I'm probably speaking mostly to the Finance Committee. The Housatonic School is the first thing that could either be put into the operating budget for next year or it could be a reserve fund transfer. The reserve fund transfer is solely under the auspices of the Finance Committee. So, Ann, do you want to just check your
yes.
committee?
Yeah, I would actually like to see this come to the Finance Committee. I think we've been pretty mindful this year of keeping funds in the reserve, or keeping some resources in the reserve fund. And if it's about 25,000, we're coming toward the end of the fiscal year. So, you know, I guess I would say I would like to bring forth to the Finance Committee my recommendation that we consider using the reserve transfer funds for this purpose, because if we put it in the budget for next year, it just delays this even further. We can't do anything until next year. So it just seemed to me, I'd rather make these funds available to protect the Housatonic School, which I drive by very often and see the condition it's in. And I would, so I would like to recommend that we bring this to the upcoming Finance Committee meeting, the April meeting.
This is Michelle.
Yes.
I agree with our chair 100%. I don't think we can wait much longer. I think it's on life support before it deteriorates beyond, the building deteriorates beyond even a tarp or boarding the windows. And so I agree with our chair. I'd like to see it go before the Finance Committee for consideration through our reserve fund.
Thank you. Tom, did you want to speak?
No, I mean, I would be comfortable if it came in front of us as a reserve fund transfer request as well.
Okay. So Steve, it sounds like at this point, we're not going to ask to put it on the fiscal year 22 budget.
Perfect. So I need a motion now to approve the proposed FY22 operating budget as amended.
Who do you want it from?
Both are going to need to do
Well, and can I
really the Finance Committee, but we both will make a recommendation.
And the final amount of the budget, I just want to, of the operating budget would be $12,928,888. Sue, is that correct? That's on the information you sent around?
Yes, if you wanted to put that up, it's on
yeah.
the second page of the packet I put together.
Yeah. So it is right here, correct?
So motion to approve for the select board.
Second. So the motion is to approve the revised FY22 proposed operating budget, which brings it to $12,928,888. And I have a motion by Ed, a second by Bill, Any discussion? Roll call, Lee,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous for the select board.
Do I have a motion from the finance committee?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Michelle, second.
Second.
Okay, thank you both. And so any further discussion?
Just a quick question, with regards to Karen's request for public restrooms. Is that Parks and Recreation budget, or would that be a capital item? I mean, I have no idea.
Bill, I'm gonna,
Okay.
Tom, I'm gonna take it up under capital, because if we do it as capital, it doesn't, it can still come out of free cash. It can.
Okay, very good. Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Did you say Michelle Ann?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I didn't hear, I'm sorry, aye.
It's okay. Aye. Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Aye, and I vote aye as well.
So that's the operating budget. So let's move on to capital. And in our packet, there's an FY22 capital request revised. So I'm going to start this off by asking a couple of questions before we go over the process. Sean Van Dusen, can you give me an estimate of what it would cost and what type of bathrooms we've looked at for Town Hall campus?
So there's actually a current design happening for the campus, which is including a bathroom. I think in the neighborhood of $100,000 if we were to include the water line, sewer line, electricity, and so forth. But I would add that we're just under design now. So that project, if it was to occur here, would take place as part of the greater Town Hall campus sort of construction, and could or should be built as part of that project, which is likely a year away.
Has that money been approved for that project?
No. So the only thing that's happening right now is design, and we would be looking at getting approval for funding the following fiscal year.
But while we have if we use free cash, and that's my next question to Sue, so I'll tee Sue up to let her know. I'm going to ask what the free cash is after if we approve the capital request, the operating budget, and the special article, what our free cash will be. So Sean, there would be no harm for us to approve that now, and we would just fold it into the entire project next year.
Yep. Yeah, that would work fine.
Okay. And Sue, did I give you enough time?
And well,
Yes, however, I will probably, so the balance actually was included in, I think it was my very last page of the handout. I did give you revised numbers that had the tax rate and what our balance of the free cash would be. So
Right.
you would just reduce, nope, wrong one. Next one, Ann.
This one?
Nope, maybe it was the page before that. I lie. I didn't do it in the right order. Maybe I didn't give it to you guys. So I think I originally had it in the packet, so I apologize. No, I didn't. I have it in front of me. I actually did not include it, so I apologize for that. The balance in free cash with the way I've presented things this evening with the changes is $1,229,665. However, remember that a lot of that money is the money that was the community impact funding funding that we received.
Can you define a lot?
I could if you give me a minute. I would say the vast majority.
I think there's about $1.2 million left in the community impact that we have not already budgeted.
Yeah, and I don't have
For
that.
what it's worth, there is a link between marijuana and bladder incontinence.
And I think Ed is correct. I just don't have it open.
About bladder incontinence or the money? Or both?
It's perfect.
A very quick Google search came up with.
Yeah, I don't. I'm so sorry. Give me one sec. And I'm doing
It was
this.
about a little over $1.5 million, and we budgeted 350.
And Sean, I'm sorry, I guess I just want some clarification. We're talking here about putting bathrooms in that are accessible and open in the town hall. Is that what we're talking about?
This would be in the town hall campus, at least the initial design I have. There are issues surrounding attaching a bathroom to a building in terms of fire code and other things. So the current idea would be to have it on the campus.
And
For a
I do have
separate
those-
building.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And you're
Yes.
saying, and 100,000 is what you said? Your estimate?
Yeah, that's a very broad estimate because we are just starting initial design. So I'm trying to calculate some of the issues, the footing, and then the water, sewer, electric. So I'm thinking around 100,000.
Steve, to answer your question, oh, I'm sorry, Lee. My apologies. I do have the actual numbers. So out of the 1,229,000 that's left in free cash, 1,177,000 is the balance of the community impact funding.
Okay, Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I guess this is a question possibly for Chris Rembold, if there's a grant that we might qualify for, that it might be prudent to wait to see if there's some way that we don't have to pay for this or get partially funded by some grant.
There may be. I can't identify a specific grant for that. There's not, like a public bathroom grant, but
What kind of structure, or I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering if we go too fast, that we find that, we could have qualified for a grant and didn't have to pay it, that's all. And I'm 100% behind this, but I'm just wondering, if we move too fast, we find that there would have been a different way of paying for it rather than come out of our pocket.
Lee, if we do approve this tonight, and I'm not saying we should or shouldn't, we don't have to spend it.
Yeah,
So
we can still
Chris,
look
fine.
for money. Okay.
You can still look at grants.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I mean, usually the way these things work is that we advance design a little bit before we can even decide which grant program we might qualify for. So it's a good step. It's a good first step anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the answers to those questions. In front of us, we have the capital request, which I'm not gonna, unless I'm asked if we want to go department by department. We've talked about all these, the changes we've made, our funding sources, and maybe some other minor changes. So on this sheet itself, is there anything on the sheet that anyone would like to discuss?
It's Michelle.
Yes.
Under street and bridge improvements, I just have a question on the engineering, and I think somebody asked this before. That engineering is all engineering projects, is that correct? It's not just for one project, is that correct?
Yeah, we use that for engineering and architectural work for projects, so we get cost estimates, as well as utilize it for grants, and having that money makes us competitive to get grants that normally we would not be able to get otherwise.
And thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. And I can't support the municipal parking lot, and I just want to go on the record for that.
Well, Michelle, can I jump in? So my understanding was that the finance committee separated out the parking lot related capital requests and the engineering and street improvements. Isn't that correct?
No, I thought the only thing that you separated out, and I was just gonna ask that, I thought the parking lot is now actually a special article. And so,
And if you can expand that screen and we can see the bottom of that sheet.
Right.
Thank you.
So could we vote in this way rather than this way? Because otherwise we're voting on the entire general fund.
That's
and that includes the municipal parking lot. And
well, the parking lot should not be on this sheet.
That's correct.
That should be on the FY 22 special articles.
And
Yes,
sorry, may I chime in?
please.
I did get some legal clarification on this particular item today. I think we did discuss at the last meeting separating this out and creating a special standalone article. However, we left it in the capital budget for tonight, and we have a few options. If the two boards, agree that this should move forward, then we can keep it in capital. I think that would probably be easiest for us as far as drafting the warrant for the annual town meeting and borrowing. If the two boards disagree on the approach, the select board could opt at that point to place this on the warrant as a special article.
Yeah, and I thought we had made that decision at the last meeting because Finance Committee did not want to move forward with it, and the select board wanted not necessarily they did not necessarily endorse it, but they wanted the citizens to make a decision at the town meeting.
I guess I'm still, and again, I'm sorry if I interrupted you, Steve.
No, not at all.
It's the challenge, right? Which is that, I'm fine with the townspeople considering this, but it's not, when we're voting here, my understanding is we're not voting to say, I want you guys to think about it. We're making a recommendation.
Yes.
And I just don't feel comfortable recommending this as something I think, as a member of the Finance Committee, is a good idea. So, and I understand why others think it is a good idea, and I see people's concern, but so I guess either to separate it out as a separate capital item that we can vote on separately, as is the bottom of the page that I was sharing earlier, or we have to think of to move it to a special article.
I don't agree. Yeah, I don't think it should be under capital at all. So.
And I agree, this is Michelle, I agree. I would be more comfortable seeing it moved over to special articles and out of the capital budget.
I agree with that too. So let's have a motion from each board to do that. Sue, go ahead. Sorry.
Who has her hand? It's okay.
So I just want to explain why I left it in capital. It was more for the way that I have to account for it. And that's why I show it on the bottom as it will still be a separate article. Whether we call it a special article, a separate article, it will be one. It will still be a borrowing authorization. So for me, this is my page of all the borrowing authorizations. So I did it for more clarification for myself. I'm happy to call it whatever you would like and shift it over to the special article.
Yeah, because I think it really muddies the capital if we leave it in capital. I really think it comes into question the whole capital if we leave it there.
But
this will be part of the borrowing authorization, though.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
I see Sue's side of it too, but personally for me, I would like to see it in special articles.
That's fine. Okay.
Do I have a motion from the select board? Ed, you're muted.
All right, motion to move this to special article.
No, second. Discussion. Seeing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed? And I make it unanimous. Finance Committee?
Right, do I have a motion from the Finance Committee?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, Michelle.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, a roll call vote. Michelle?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay.
So any other FY22 capital requests we have on here that someone from either of the boards wants to speak about?
Steve, it's Tom again. I wasn't clear on how we left off with the restroom question. Are we going to increase the capital budget for Parks and Rec by this $100,000 placeholder, or I just wasn't clear?
Yeah, I don't think we did solve that necessarily. It's really up to the two boards.
I know it's been talked about for many years, so.
This is Michelle, I think there's more need for this than the parking lot, but that's me. My husband and I, we've been in Great Barrington, we take long walks, park the car. And by the time we get back into the town center, we need a public restroom and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
The porta potty at the town hall, trust me, it's not a pleasant experience. So There seems to be, with COVID and everything, a lot of people out and about in the fresh air, taking walks, cycling and everything. And do I want to spend the money? No, but the need is there. This has been talked about for a long time. And as a matter of fact, I don't know how many times I've been asked, where is there a public restroom went on in Great Barrington? So I think it needs to go before the voters at least.
I agree.
I think I've been convinced. So, any further well, the select board, has the select board talked about it?
No, the select board. I haven't heard anything from the select board.
All right, well, do I have a motion from the finance committee?
Yeah, this is Tom. I make a motion that we recommend or we increase the building and grounds or DPW's capital budget by $100,000 for public restroom. I'm not sure how to phrase it, but.
Yeah, I think saying source of the funding would be important too.
Okay, well, I guess it would be, I would look to Sue to tell me what's the source. Do we borrow or is it free cash or?
So I'm glad you're asking before you take the vote. I do want to caution that if you do choose to take it from free cash and then we at a later date decide there's a different funding source, legally, once it's voted at town meeting to take from free cash, I have to record that and reduce the free cash. So we would have to go back to town meeting to rescind that vote. So, yeah, so I just want to caution you, whatever you choose is fine. We would just have to rescind it at a later date.
So is there a better way to word this so that we don't have to go through that? Because we've had to go through that a couple times. It's a nuisance.
I think that would be a question for either, that would probably be a question for legal counsel, David Dineski, to how to word, or you're talking for tonight?
Well, can we say source to be determined at this point?
Sure.
So can I ask just, and I'm sorry to keep going back to this, but so if there was, 1,229,000 in free cash, and 1,177,000 of that is in community impact funding. That leaves only about 50,000 that's not community impact funding. And I know we've been making some arguments that it would fall under that rubric, but we don't really know, correct?
We don't know what, I don't know.
We don't know if this would fall, if we could even use the free cash. Because there's only 50,000 that is unrestricted.
Well, so when I'm telling you the balance of the community impact funding, keep in mind my regulations fall under the Department of Revenue and they do not segregate that community impact funding.
Okay.
They will look at it as we have $1.2 million in free cash to use however we so choose. They do not say that money has to be set aside to be used for that. So I just do that to keep track of our balances, for the projects. But no, the reality is we have $1.2 million of free cash.
I see. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you. So we do have a motion on the table for the Finance Committee. Do we have a second?
Michelle, second.
Any further discussion?
Michelle, I agree. I agree with Lee that this is great as a placeholder, but in the interim, look at grants and. I agree with Chris trying to find one specifically for the bathrooms would be difficult, but there could be some other improvement grant or whatever that this would fall under. So, but other than that, I'm comfortable with this.
I think what this vote does is two things. Chris never stops looking for grants, so I think we've made it clear we want him to. But I think what this vote does is gives a endorsement that the town finally is accepting the fact that we need public bathrooms. At least the Select Board and Finance Committee town meeting will make the final decision, which for 20 years has not been the case, that we've never gone this far with it.
Correct.
Any further discussion from the Finance Committee? All right, I'll do a roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Select Board.
Same motion.
Second. So the motion is to add $100,000 under DPW, buildings and grounds for a public bathroom, source of funding to be determined. So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed?
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous.
Are we naming it after Karen?
So the next question is there anything else on the FY22 capital request that we want to discuss before we vote? So I'm not hearing any. So one of the boards make a motion to approve the recommendation of the FY22 capital request as amended.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Select Board.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous.
Do I have a motion from the select board?
Finance Committee?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's getting, same motion.
Same motion, yeah. Second, Michelle?
Thank you. So any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. All right.
Okay, so that's the capital, which we voted on. So next is the FY 2022 special articles. I'm gonna take these individually. I think probably 4 out of 5 are fairly simple, but I think it's just the easier way of doing it. So the first one's the community impact funding, to take $350,000 out of free cash to use as part of the this year's contribution to the community impact funding.
So moved.
And second. Discussion. Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed?
Aye.
And it's unanimous.
And do I have a motion from the finance committee?
Same motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And open for discussion. Sue, I just want to ask a quick question. So when you talk about the 1 million and 2 in free cash, this includes with the assumption of pulling out this 350, correct? You're muted. Sorry. Sue, you're muted.
Sorry, that is correct. The 1,229,000 has been reduced already by that 300.
I understand that. Thank you. That was just my clarification. Any further discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Okay, the next one is emergency medical services, and there's 2 parts to this that I think we need to vote on. It can be one motion. One is the dollar amount, but the other is, and I appreciate Dr. Bellman being very clear that the recommendations from the administration of the 4 items has already started, but I think it's important that both boards make a recommendation to include those as part of this funding that appear on the executive summary. I'm not sure how we word it, but
Look, Steve, this is Tom. So you would want our funding recommendation, if it's to be favorable, would be contingent upon Southern Berkshire adopting those 4 recommendations?
That's a great way of wording it, yes.
Could somebody say, make a motion?
I'm going to let Tom do it because that was so.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. For the Finance Committee, I make a motion that we recommend funding of not greater than $25,000, provided that Southern Berkshire Volunteer Ambulance Squad adopts the 4 recommendations in the executive summary.
Michelle, second.
All right. Any further discussion?
It's Michelle.
Yep.
I just want to say, I thought the executive summary was excellent on this.
I agree.
Really a lot of detail and really very informative. And I just wanted to thank staff for doing this.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Same motion.
And a second. So Ed's proposed the same motion. Bill has seconded that motion. Any discussion?
Just, I want to second that about the executive summary and the three names on it, Mark, Sue, and Chief Berger. But, we gave them no time to do this and a lot to do, and it was really remarkably clear and thorough. So it makes this easier.
I should mention that credit really goes to Sue and Charlie on this. They did all the heavy lifting. So thank you both.
You signed your name to it beautifully.
Sure.
And I also want to say that I thank Dr. Bellman for coming tonight, because I think that was a voice that we really needed to hear. So that was really helpful.
Agreed.
So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Lee.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Bill. Ed.
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Next is Berkshire Hills Regional School District vocation tuition and transportation at $65,000.
Okay, this town, the finance committee, I make a recommendation that we approve the $65,000 request for the Berkshire Hills Regional Southern District vocational tuition and transportation.
Michelle.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Same motion.
And then a second. So Ed has made the same motion under number 3 under the special articles. Bill has seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Lee?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Only been 2 hours. Yes or no?
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't say something else. Sorry.
I'll take that as a yes. Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. The next one is one of the 2 stabilizations, and this one is the backup to town reserves, and it's for a recommendation of $200,000 from free cash.
Do I have a motion from the finance committee?
To make a motion to recommend.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Select board.
Same motion.
And second. So I have the same motion under number 4, stabilization for the town to back up the town reserves. I have a motion and a second. Lee, can I ask?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed?
Aye.
And aye. The next one is capital stabilization. Recommendation is $200,000, which will make up for the last year where we were unable to fund it, and continue our $100,000 a year in funding this.
Do I have a motion from the finance committee to allocate $200,000 to the capital stabilization fund?
So moved. Michelle.
Do you have a second? Thank you, Michelle.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Tom?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Select Board.
Same motion.
And a second. Motion made to fund $200,000 for the capital reserve, and there's a second by Bill. Motion is by Ed. Any discussion? Hearing none. Lee?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Ed?
Aye.
And I vote aye. It's unanimous. Is there anything from the Finance Committee or Select Board that we need to discuss before we move to citizen speak time? Hearing none, I just want to say this has been a really good budget season. It's been very well thought out, and the discussions have been very, very well. Ann, go ahead.
Steve, I'm sorry.
I thought you were waving hi to me. I'm sorry.
I guess I just want to say that, I think as most of you know, both Michelle and Will their terms are coming up on the Finance Committee, so this will be, they're both not running for re-election, so this will be their last public hearing, at least in this duration of their service on the Finance Committee. And I don't think I've actually been on the Finance Committee at a public hearing where Michelle and Will have not been there. So this is just part of, I just want to thank both of them for everything. I think they've just been, you've both been just really great members of the Finance Committee, and we will miss you a lot. And we'll talk more about this at the upcoming Finance Committee meeting. But I just want
It's not too late. We can write one of you in if you change your mind.
That's what I said. Right.
I know,
Thank you, Ann.
I'm here, the discussion we're having, and I like to, I always love the back and forth I have with Ed at meetings. So, it's tempting, Ann. It's tempting.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
But thank you.
First of all, Michelle, I get the feeling you're still going to be here.
Thank you, Ed.
I want to say that at the most we had 24 attendees who are not on screen, and at most 5 who were not either town staff or board or running for a board. So I would love to take that as the citizens think we're doing a really great job. Unless I hear otherwise, I would love more input at this stage of the game rather than after town meeting vote.
Or during the town meeting. I understand that.
And this is Michelle. I agree with Ed 100%. I hear constantly, concerns about increasing taxes and that sort of thing. And I know tonight went very smoothly, but that's because we had several meetings beforehand where we, went through every detail on the budget. But I know people are here attending the meeting, but I think it's always good to speak up when you have concerns. No one's going to bite you. We want to hear what you have to say, and it helps us make our decisions. So I agree with Ed, sometimes waiting to the annual town meeting floor, it loses some of its oomph by the citizen. So hopefully citizens will become more engaged in this process.
Eileen, you have your hand up, so we'll move to citizen speak time. I'm going to try to unmute you to allow you to talk. Go ahead, Eileen.
Steve, I just want to raise a question, and I do apologize. And I know we're wrapping up, but the parking lot, is there anything we need to do with that, or did we vote to put that on the,
So there's 2 parts of this, and I would say this. We voted to move it to special articles without a recommendation from either board.
Okay.
And that's where we are right now, unless someone wants to make a recommendation. I think we've left it to the select board to do some heavy lifting, and the administration to convince the citizens at the town meeting that this is a good project we should move forward with.
This is Michelle. I'm supportive of the Chair Bannon's comments.
Thank you.
I just didn't want us to find ourselves needing to come back.
No, I agree. As much as we've had fun, I don't.
Yeah, I apologize. So Eileen, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Just unmute yourself, Eileen. Well, we're getting Eileen unmuted. I have a call-in person without a name, so I'm going to allow you to talk, but I need your name and address, please. Just unmute yourself. You raised your hand.
Hi, it's Garfield Reed.
Oh, Garfield.
And hi, Steve. I just wanted to commend the Finance Committee and the Select Board Committee for voting that money into the vocational program for the school. I think it's very important, and I appreciate you guys doing that.
Thank you, Garfield.
You're welcome.
Eileen. Moving, I see Kara Becker's hand is up. Kara, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Paul Storty. Sorry, I must be logged in under her account here at the police department. I just want to take a second to thank Michelle and Will for their service on the finance committee. It's been it's a tough thing, and the community service is great, and have people step up to do that job. So thank you for your service through that. I also want to thank this is a tough transition for me at the timing of the year. And my first budget season to go through. So I really wanted just to give a thank you to Sue, especially for helping me navigate a lot of the technical issues that I was learning through in Mark, and also Ann for reaching out and, again, from the finance committee, helping me through this process. It was good advice and good help to make it a lot smoother for me. Additionally, I have to thank my, Kara and Adam, Sergeant Carlotto, for their help also supporting me through this. So congratulations to Will and Michelle for your service for the town. Good luck, and thanks everybody else for the help you gave me through this budget season.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief.
Let's try one more time with Eileen. On your phone, Eileen, *6.
Eileen, I don't know if this is loud, but you also could call me and I could just broadcast your question over my microphone if you want. So she might try that. Okay.
While we're waiting to see if she does that, media time. Which got a time.
Okay, Eileen.
Yes. So I see nothing from the media. Has Eileen called you?
Not yet, I'm trying her.
Chair Bannon, may I just say something?
Of course.
Real quick. Thank you to everyone for their thanks with regard to my service on the Finance Committee. But I just want to thank town staff as well. When you're new to a committee, many times town staff, in a way, trains you with information that's presented at the meetings and so on and so forth. So by the time you get to the year number 3, you think you're an expert, but you're not, and that sort of thing. And the town staff, they're the experts. And I just want to thank them for all their help that they gave me answering my questions, etc.
Okay, so Eileen said she was asking about the parking lot, which we took care of. So, having nothing else, by unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Good job, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.